Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we have my October reading wrap up. I did read 23 books this month, and not only was it an amazing month just because of the quantity of books I read, but also the quality was insane. I think I had a record number of 5-star reads this month. So without further ado, let's get into the video because I have some great book recs for you. We're gonna go in the order that I read the books this month. Sometimes I sort it like this, sometimes I sort it by genre, so let me know which style you prefer. But the first book I read is The Unraveling by V. Keeland, and this is a thriller book that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I felt so hooked when I was reading this book, but then I actually haven't really thought of it since I put it down. It was the first book that I read this month, so I'll give it some credit. It has been a little while, but because of that, this wasn't like a 5-star read for me, but I did still really like my read through of it. This one really focuses on obsession. It basically follows a psychiatrist who's concealing a very twisted connection she has with a patient. It's a book that's going to keep you guessing. The way that everything's connected is kind of crazy, and the psychiatrist is also in therapy and like revealing secrets to her therapist because he can't tell anyone under patient-doctor confidentiality. There are some scenes in this book that were like spine chilling, and now that I'm thinking about it again, I'm like, this really was such a solid read. It was my first of V. Keeland's books, but it won't be my last. I have a few more on my TBR, and this one was really solid. The next one I read was my first 5-star of the month. This was Where He Left Me by Nicole Bart. I've read, I think, 1 or 2 other books by this author and really liked them, but this was my favorite so far. It follows this newlywed wife whose husband just went on a work trip, and he's only supposed to be gone a couple of days, but he doesn't come home. She's kind of thinking maybe I got the wrong day at first. She's hoping that he's just gonna show up a little bit late, but he doesn't show up that night. He doesn't show up the next day, and she's starting to wonder like what happened. He's not answering his phone. She can't get a hold of anyone that would know where he is. She lives in his family's old home that's very isolated, and she's about to get stormed in. There's a winter storm coming that means that she's going to be basically cut off from the town because she lives like up in the middle of nowhere. And to make everything worse, there are like these trespassers that are on her property, and so not only is she like fighting for her own survival, but she's also starting to uncover things about her husband and his family that's making her wonder if she ever truly like knew him. This book has some insane twists and turns. I absolutely loved it and ate up every single second. Next up is The Psychic by Nancy Bush. This one was not my favorite. I did like it, but I just like didn't find myself excited to pick it up. I just was tempted to DNF it at times. I'm happy I didn't, but it just wasn't a standout for me. It follows this woman who has like these psychic premonitions. She's had them ever since she was a kid. The first one happened when she was like at a party, like her own birthday party, and she had this like voice in her head telling her not to go swimming, and she ignored it and went anyways, and she nearly drowned that day. And so ever since, she's kind of been wary of these kind of psychic things that she thinks of. But this new type of vision she's having is completely different. She's very vividly seeing crime scenes, and they're happening exactly as she's seeing them. So she can't just do nothing about this. She has to come forward because she's seeing them before they happen, and she wants to be able to put an end to these grisly murders. Again, I liked it. It's a little bit long for me. I did listen to the audiobook, and maybe I just didn't love the narration of this one. I'm not sure. I can't like fully put a finger on what I didn't love about it. I just like didn't feel very gripped by it. Next up, we have Overdue by Stephanie Perkins. And this book took me by surprise because the premise had me a little bit nervous. It follows this 29-year-old librarian who is in a very long-term committed relationship with her college sweetheart. Her sister, who's in a more recent relationship, just got engaged to get married, and it made her realize like we're not even talking about marriage yet. So she sits down with her boyfriend and they talk about how they don't feel excited about getting married. They don't feel ready, even though they've been together for so long, because they're all each other really know. They've been together for like a decade at this point. And so they decide to take a 1-month pause. They'll date other people, like act like they're basically broken up. And then after the month is up, they'll come together and talk about it and see if they are ready. Their goal is to basically commit to each other after that month. But they don't. This isn't a spoiler. This is all in the back. They're still not ready. And her journey in this book is beautiful. I was nervous about that premise because, like, as somebody who's married to my college sweetheart, like, I was nervous about the way this would be written, and it was done in a way that just like it made so much sense for these characters, and their own growth was beautiful. And honestly, their relationship even after deciding to break up, like deciding not to get together after that 1 month, was beautiful. Like they were very mature adults about everything. She's a librarian who's also pursuing her dream of becoming a bookstore owner, and her romance that she finds in this book is very slow burn, but it's so satisfying when it finally happens. So I'm super excited to read more from this author. She's already a New York Times bestselling author, so I need to look into what other books she has because this was spectacular. Next up, I finally started the Dreamland Billionaire series. The first book is this one, Love Redesigned, and this blew me away. I put off reading this for a long time because this is thick. For a romance book, it's nearly 600 pages, which is kind of crazy, but I kind of like the pages are tiny. Like, you fly through this even though it is a little bit on the longer side. I did listen to this one on audio as well and just thought it was so cute. This is a billionaire romance. It's actually set in Michigan, which I thought was fun. It is set in this fake town called Lake Wisteria, and basically it follows this woman named Dahlia who is returning to her hometown. She's an interior designer, and the MMC Julian is like determined to avoid her. He wants her to just leave town as soon as possible. She's somebody that he had feelings for a long time ago and just doesn't want to like delve back into that. They were like childhood rivals, and they end up both being interested in purchasing the same property. They're both kind of annoyed because they both want it for their own purposes, and so they decide to go like 50-50 on it and actually work together to basically make this home what they both want out of it. They both have long buried feelings from way back when that they've never really visited, and their love story is so cute. Next up is Secret Haven, which is so phenomenal. This is the last book in the Sparrow Falls series, and like truly would not change a single thing about this book. It was so beautiful. This whole series is found family trope, and this one is done so well. Like, not only the relationship in this book, but the family like relationship that they all have is beautiful, and the way that it's built is so like honestly believable. This is a fake marriage book. It's also it's always been her trope. It's forbidden, one bed. The MMC is a tattoo artist, and basically in this book the MMC finds out that he has a few half siblings that he had no idea existed. They're all in like their elementary middle school age, and he had never been told about them until now. They're being put into like the foster system, and he wants to be able to get guardianship over them, but because of his past and his career he doesn't feel confident the court ruling in his favor. So him and the FMC end up getting fake married, so they're like a whole family unit when they're trying to get custody, and they are so cute. They have both had feelings for each other for forever. He literally has tattoos of her name that are hidden that she has no idea about, that he's had for a decade. It is the most it's always been her trope I've ever read. Like, for 10 years this man has been down bad but not willing to do anything because he doesn't want to compromise their relationship that they already had, like their friendship, and I just adored this story. Next we have a new god tier thriller book. This is You'll Never Know by Caleb Stevens, and this book was jaw-dropping but also breathtaking in the way that it was written. Like, not only will you have no idea the twists that are coming for you when you read this, but the writing in this is just done so well. It's a book that's going to grip you and not let you go until the last page. It follows this man named Grant who's never been happier in life. He has the dream wife, he has the dream home, he has a baby just on the way that he just found out about, and his wife and him are on a hike together when she gets abducted in broad daylight. Two masked men come, they're armed, he can do nothing about it. They take his wife and leave and send him on kind of like a series of riddles that he has to solve in hopes of potentially getting his wife back, potentially having her live, because that's the threat. They're kind of holding her for ransom but also having him do all these strange things, and the pieces of the puzzle and the way they tie together like are actually insane. I'm still thinking about this book weeks later. I just got the audiobook of this one and I plan to reread it like within the next month or two because it was just that good and I need to read it again. Then I read Merry Christmas You Filthy Animal by Megan Quinn. This is her new holiday romance book. It's technically book 2 in a series. I haven't read the first book and it was completely fine. They are standalones. But this one's actually Home Alone themed, which was really fun. There's a lot of references. Some of them are a little cheesy, some of them are just funny, but this book will have you laughing, even if it's having you cringe sometimes. Both the characters in this are so awkward. As an awkward girly, I saw myself in them, but sometimes it was hard to read because it's like they're both unbearably awkward. But our MMC Max is trying to keep his family's Christmas tree farm afloat, and our FMC Betty, she is new to town. She's just opening up a Christmas tree farm basically right next door to his. It's kind of like a rivals to lovers, but they're not rivals for that long. Like they like each other. Then I read another holiday romance. This one's My Favorite Holiday by Lauren Blakely. It was actually my first of her books and I thought it was so cute. This is like a billionaire fake dating romance. This book basically starts with this woman catching her boyfriend cheating on her, and in that same like party her sister gets engaged. She is the maid of honor and her now ex is the best man. So she's gonna have to be close proximity with this guy. He's bringing that girl that he was cheating on her with as his date, which is like unbearable. She doesn't want to tell her sister about it because she doesn't want to like ruin the wedding, which is coming up really soon. And so she ends up doing this fake dating gig with her billionaire boss. They both have an event that they could really use a fake relationship for, and so that's like why they both agreed to it. But they are so cute together. They clearly have feelings kind of right off the bat, and this was just a really fun ride. Then I read book 2 in the Lakefront Billionaire series, Love Unwritten, and this one was actually my favorite of the two. I haven't read book 3 yet, but I plan to next month. This is a single dad nanny romance, and the nanny's relationship with his kid is so cute. The kid is like actually obsessed with his nanny. Like, he trusts her more than anyone, and basically always wants her around, including on like vacations. It's also a grumpy sunshine. The dad's kind of grumpy and the nanny is the sunshine. Lines kind of blur when they all go on vacation together, and I love them together so much. This next one is a standout fantasy for me. This is a debut book and it shocked me by how amazing it is. It's a pretty short book. It's very light on the world building, incredibly character and story driven instead, and I thought it was so good. This one follows a woman who has kind of been trying to avenge her brother's death. Her brother was killed by the beast and she has vowed to kill the beast in some way, even though it seems like an impossible task. She ends up meeting this person who claims that he has found the beast lair and he could potentially be the missing piece for her to finally track down and kill the beast. And the journey that she goes on in this book is beautiful. The relationships built, and honestly just like the messages in this book are something that's just gonna stick with me. This is a very impactful read. I immediately had my husband read this after I finished it and he really loved it too, so I definitely recommend this one. Next up is another new favorite thriller of mine. It's called Ask for Andrea, and it kind of flips the script from a typical thriller. Instead of following like the killer or a detective or someone maybe related to the people who die, you're actually following the women who die. You're following 3 ghosts of women who were all killed by the same man, and they are sticking around. They're not ready to move on to what's next because they want to put an end to what he's doing. They kind of start out separate in this book and all their stories eventually do come together, and the sisterhood in this book is beautiful. This book is one that you will not be able to put down. Like, make sure you have a few hours. It probably takes like 3 hours to read. It's pretty short. Have those few hours set aside because the chapters are so short, so you just keep flipping them, and once you reach like the 2/3 point in this book, you actually will be so hooked because it's so tense and you're so scared for the characters in this book, but it is done so well and the ending was incredibly satisfying. The last holiday romance I read for this month was Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace, and I really like this. I've liked every book by this author except Icebreaker, which was the first book I read of hers, so I'm really glad I continued reading her books despite not liking that first one. But this one follows Clara, who's always wanted to basically climb the ladder in her family's toy company. Her family's company just had a huge scandal where it seems like they might have like stolen the design for a doll from like a small business in this town, and so she's headed to that town to try to kind of mend relationships and have the media look favorably upon her family, and so she's basically there to fix this PR nightmare and ends up having a meet cute with this guy she doesn't know is part of that small company, and he doesn't know either. He hates the big company. They screwed his family over not just this time but also previously. When he realizes who she is, he's determined not to get fooled twice by this family. But the longer she's in town and the more she's trying to fix things, not only just for him but also for just everybody in this town, the more he's like starting to see her true colors and that she's not like the rest of her family business. And I really like this one. I didn't think of this much after I read it, which I mean that's fair for a lot of romance books, but my time reading this I did really enjoy it. Next up was my first Charlie Dunlea book. This is Guess Again, and it certainly won't be my last of his. I'm kind of mad at myself that I haven't read his books previously because some of my friends have him as like one of their favorite authors, and I just have been putting off his books for way too long. In this book, 10 years ago, the small town had a disappearance of the 17-year-old volleyball player. She was never found. The case was like never closed. The case basically went cold without anybody being able to make any significant leads on it. And Ethan, who was a former detective but now he's an ER doctor, this is 10 years after that now, and he gets a call from his former partner who is asking him to reopen the case. His partner is dying and he just wants to be able to rest knowing that somebody is like looking into it, and on this 10-year anniversary it's just like really weighing on him. The more he's digging into this, the more secrets he's unburying, not only in this case but also in like his own past, and this was one that like I'm gonna think about for a long time, and just talking about it makes me just so excited to read more of his books. Then I read my least favorite book of the month. This is People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. I love this author's books. This was such a letdown for me. I have never rated a book of hers less than like 3.75 stars or maybe even 4 stars, and this was like a generous 2 stars. I hated the MMC in this book. I thought that he was red flags galore. His nickname for her was cringy. He literally calls her Killer from like their first interaction and just sticks with it. I didn't think that their relationship was built on anything. I felt like you learned about them separately, but then when they were together it was literally just like smut and no basis of anything else. It's opposites attract, but like not in a good way. Like it doesn't seem like they would ever belong together. I just honestly disliked this so much. I shouldn't have finished it, but I like, sometimes I get to a like halfway point in the book and I'm hating it and I just have to like finish it out of spite, and I don't know why, but I basically did that with this one and it didn't get better. I did not like it. I did, however, really like When I Picture You by Sasha Lawrence. This was my first book by this author and I loved it. It's a sapphic romance. It's kind of inspired by Taylor Swift. These women were friends when they were younger, but they kind of reunite at a wedding. One of them is trying to find her creative spark. She is trying to finish up her MFA in documentary film, and the other one is like basically Taylor Swift in this book. They both have their own baggage that they're bringing into kind of their relationship. They basically have a fling, not expecting it to be anything more, but start to develop feelings and start to spend more time together. And I really like them in this book. I did not like the third act like drama breakup situation too much, but other than that, phenomenal book. I was pleasantly surprised by Thorn Season by Kira Azar. This is a debut book. It's a young adult romantasy book, and I thought this was very well done for being debut. I think there's certain things that she will improve upon in her second book, and there were times in this book where you're not sure why characters are doing certain things, or there isn't like enough explanation in my opinion for the way things work in this world. But I know it was light on the world building because it's young adult, but it also I think needed a little bit more at times. But by the end of this book, I was so hooked. I read this with my podcast group and we all were blown away by the ending and can't wait for the next book. This one follows an heiress to a kingdom who possesses illegal magic. The wielders are basically illegal in her kingdom because they're too powerful. So they're hunted, and she's always kept her magic a secret because of this. It's kind of like a love square. She has 3 potential love interests. One who's a childhood friend who is a hunter. He does know her secret though, and he's always kind of protected her. We also have a king who's wanted to be with her for a long time, and then also this guy who at one point in the book kidnaps her, and he ends up being a love interest potentially too. So yeah, I did really enjoy this one. I am excited to see where she goes in the second book, and I'm excited to see her writing kind of flourish, because I think by the second half she really started to get it together. I just think the first half could have gone through a little bit of revisions and adding in some more world building and explanations. Next up, I read The Perfect Host by Heather Gudenkauf, and I loved this. I love all of the books I've read of hers so far. This one centers around a gender reveal party that goes deadly. Basically an explosion happens and someone dies. It's of course supposedly an accident, but it doesn't actually seem like it was. There was uninvited guests here, there's old rivals, and we have a very determined investigator who has his own twisty past that's kind of connected to other people in the book that you'll find out when you read it, but I thought this one was really fun. Next up, I read 2 different thriller novella length books. These ones are both solid, but they're both very short, so they don't really have a ton of plot built up. It kind of just jumps in, which going into them because they're 4 hours long. But Lucinda Berry's new one I read and really liked it, but I legitimately forgot I read it until I looked at my reading recap, so that's why I got the rating it did. I really enjoyed my time reading it. It just didn't stick with me at all. And then I also read Audrey J. Cole's new book, and this one was super tense and fun too, and was a little bit more memorable for me. Next up is Hollow by Selena Myers, and this is a vampire-y book that took me by surprise. It follows this woman who is wondering if she peaked already. She spent years working at her local bookstore, which she likes, but that job was supposed to be very temporary. And she had this weird experience where as a kid she was kind of famous because she had this gift that she was kind of able to talk with the dead, but that gift has dried up. It was just when she was young. And so now she kind of thinks she's nobody special and doesn't really know where her life is headed. And then she dies. She dies in a tragic car accident, and that isn't the end of her story because she gets turned into a vampire. So now she's forced to leave behind her old life. She has to choose between 2 rival clans. She spends time with both and kind of drawn to both for different reasons. It's a really short book, but it was really fun. I was listening to the audiobook of this, and by the end I was like, that's it? I thought that was gonna be double the length just because I wasn't keeping track of how long I had been listening to, but I mean that in a good way. I'm just excited to see. I think there should be a book 2 coming out. Next up was Dead of Summer by Jessa Maxwell, and I like this book. It's just not living up still to her first book that I absolutely adored. She's the author of The Golden Spoon, which is a top favorite thriller of mine, and both of her next releases, including this one, were good but not as good as that one. This one takes place on Hadley Island, which is an island off the coast of New England. It's a summer island where people spend the vacation time but don't really live year-round, and every summer there's this one house who has a large 4th of July party until they stopped having them because somebody ended up dead. It's been 15 years since that fateful party, but everything's coming back to the surface right now, and it seems like everyone has secrets that are going to come out this summer. And last but not least, we have The Locked Word by Sarah Pekkanen, and I really enjoy this author's books. I've read I think 3 or 4 of hers by now, and this one was really fun. This one centers around basically the crime of the decade. It follows Georgia, who was adopted as a newborn, and she was accused of killing the biological daughter of her adopted family. Now she's locked up in a psych ward. She's claiming she didn't do it. She has an estranged twin sister who's truly her only hope. Her twin sister doesn't really trust her, but she also doesn't think she can abandon her, so she's looking into it and trying to figure out what actually happened. I thought this book was really twisty. I did not guess the plot twist in this, and I definitely enjoyed it. And there we have it. That was all of the books I read in October. Overall, again, a solid month, not only because I read so many, but I read some favorite books of mine that are definitely going to make it onto my favorites of the year list. But thank you so much for watching, and make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss any of my weekly uploads, and I'll see you guys in the next video.